Okay, so I have a blank piece of paper because I messed up the first time I was recording. So I'm re-recording this, so you'll just have to take your notes on the other side. So we're doing the quadratic formula today. We're on, let me go back to my old ugly notes that I messed up on. Ooh, that sounded like I had a deep voice, sorry. We're doing 9-5, that's what it is, the quadratic formula. So with the quadratic formula, remember we've been factoring quadratics, zero product rules, looking at it on graphs, using a slip or slide method, all these different methods. So this is just another method that you can use to solve. If you forget how to factor, or if you want to check, or if it doesn't seem factorable, then you use the quadratic formula. If there is a problem such as one we did the other day where we had to estimate on the graph what the zeros were, then the quadratic formula will give you the exact answer. The quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. And we kind of sing that using the jack in a box thing. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So with that, we have to basically find the a, b, and c of a formula and plug it in, and that'll give us what x equals. Because remember, ultimately we're finding the zeros. Everything is revolving around the zeros and finding out what x is. Everybody got that? So let's look at our first example, which is x squared minus 12x equals 20. First step, we would have to, of course, put it in standard form. So I'm going to subtract 20 on both sides. That's going to give us x squared minus 12x minus 20 equals 0. Everybody got that? And now we know our a is the coefficient in front of the x squared, which is 1. B is negative 12. C is negative 20. We're going to plug it into the quadratic formula to solve. So we have x equals negative b, right? But since b is already a negative 12, those two negatives get married to become a what? Hope you said it. Positive. Plus or minus, so we're using both signs right now. We're not separating. The square root of b squared minus 4 times our a, which is 1, times our c, which is negative 20. And I forgot to write the negative on there. Everybody got that? All divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. So we just took our coefficients from the a, b, and c and just plugged it into the formula. Everybody got that? Let me zoom in a little bit in case you can't see it. Yeah, that might be a little bit better. Now that we have that, we have x equals our positive 12 plus or minus the square root. What is negative 12 squared? Negative 12 times negative 12 is 144. Negative 4 times here. Some people prefer to type it all in at once. If you do it by step, we would do our exponents first, right? And then those three are multiplied together, 4 times a times c. So we're going to multiply all 4 numbers together. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 20. Two negatives are going to make a positive 80. Everybody got that? And then, just double checking. Let me see. Negative 4. So it's positive 80. Yeah. Okay, so then from here, we're going to add the 144 plus the 80. And we get, oh, it's all over 2. 12 plus or minus the square root of 224 all over 2. Is there a square root of 24? 224. Why do I feel like... Let me see. So then here we come down. We haven't really talked about how to simplify radicals yet, or square roots. So at this point, there's no square root of 224. So at this point, we would go ahead and it's time to split up and find both of our zeros. So we split the plus and minus, and so the first 0 is going to be 12 plus square root of 224 over 2. And the second 0 is going to be 12 minus the square root of 224 over 2. And so those are the zeros. I'm at home, so I really don't have a good calculator. I'm just using my cell phone. So I'll take the square root of 224, which is approximately 15, plus 12, and then we divide it by 2. And so the approximate value, and what did the directions say? It didn't say anything. Normally we just round to the nearest tenth. the approximate thing with 13.5 for that 0. And then the other one would be the square root of 224, which is about 14.9, and we would do 12 minus the answer. 12 minus 14.9 divided by 2, and so I'm getting negative 1.45. Now keep in mind, mine might slightly be off because I'm using my calculator, and so those are our approximate zeros. And I just said round to the nearest tenth, huh? So that'd be negative 1.5. Sorry, I'm tired. You'll get it, I'm sure. Alright, so now I'm back on my paper. Remember I had messed that up earlier. So we're on B. And we're going to use the quadratic formula. First, we need to get a standard form, so we're going to subtract 2x on both sides. We end up with x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Our A is 1, our B is negative 2, our C is negative 3. I'm going to plug it into the formula. X equals negative B, so two negatives will make a positive, plus or minus the square root of our B squared, so negative 2 squared, minus 4 times the A times the C, all over 2 times A. So we simplify, we end up with 2 plus or minus the square root. Negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times 1 is going to be negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 3 is going to give us a positive 12, all over 2. 12 plus 4 is 16. Oh yeah, we got a good one. So we end up with 2 plus or minus the square root of 16, all over 2. What's the square root of 16? 4. Good job. 2 plus or minus 4 over 2. And so now we could break it up into our two zeros. So x is going to equal 2 plus 4 over 2. Remember, we're splitting it up. And then 2 minus 4 over 2. That's going to be 2 plus 4 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. 2 minus 4 is negative 2, divided by 2 is negative 1. And so those are our zeros. And if you had factored that, you would have got those two zeros. Everybody got that? All right. Sorry. Okay. Here's solving some more with the quadratic formula. Round to the nearest tenth if necessary. Here I would say pause it, try it on your own, and then replay it to see if you got it right. Okay, so if you're unpausing, you should identify that A is 2, B is 3, C is negative 5. So we end up with x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times A times C. 4 times 2 times negative 5, all over 2 times 2. That reduces to negative 3 plus or minus 9 minus, what is it? Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 5, two negatives are going to make it positive 40, all over 4. So that's going to give us negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 49, all over 4. We know the square root of 49 is 7, so I'm going to go ahead and split it up into the zeros. Negative 3 plus 7 over 4, splitting that up, and negative 3 minus 7 over 4. For those of y'all who lost, I just went ahead and did the square root of 49, which is 7. 7 minus 3 is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10, so we're going to have to reduce negative 10 over 4. Both of those are divisible by 2, so we end up with negative 5 over 2. Everybody got that? And those are our zeros, or where we're across the x-axis. And if you put it in the calculator, you should be able to estimate and see that that does work out. Got it? All right. Let's look at B. Here we have 10 squared minus 5x equals 25, but we're going to have to bring it over. So now we're putting that into standard form. Equals 0. Our A is 10. B is negative 5. C is negative 25. And now we're going to put that into, sorry, my mind just went blank. Put it into the quadratic formula. So we end up with x equals negative 5, which turns into a positive, plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared, minus 4 times 10 times the C, which is 25, all over 2 times 10. We reduce that. And what's negative 5 squared? 25. Sorry, I gotta write my square root. Negative 4, sorry. Negative 4 times 10 is 40. And so I'm putting 40 times 25 in my calculator because I can't think straight. Oh, duh. 4 times 25, that's 100 and then zeros. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. But I did lose sight of... Okay, that's a positive 10. Negative 4 times A times C. Yeah, okay, so that's negative 40 times 25. So that's going to be negative 1,000. I did something wrong. Hold on, let me pause it. Okay, I found what I did wrong. Yeah, that C was negative. I can't even read my own handwriting. That's a negative in there. So when I came over here, this is supposed to be a negative 25. And so 2 negatives is going to make a positive 1,025 all over 20. That's going to reduce to 5 plus or minus the square root of 1,025 all over 20. Is there a square root of 1,025? I don't know. Oh, my calculator's not working. Come on, calculator. I can't get it. That's another estimate. So when we split it, the estimate is 5 plus square root of 1025 over 20 and 5 minus square root of 1025 over 20. So that square root of 1,025 is 32. It's about 32.01. Add that to 5, divide by 20, and so this approximate zero is like 1.9, because I got 1.85. Uh-oh, sorry. Can't see that. And then the other one, see, I can't even think straight tonight. I'm sorry. What was it? 32.01? Yeah. So we're doing 5 minus 32.01 divided by 20. And so the other zero is at negative 1.4. If I got it wrong, sorry. Get the concept. I can't think straight. All right. Now we're going to the back. And here, what's so important about this is because we're tying it all together. So over the course of the last 2 to 3 weeks, you know, our time's been pretty choppy. We talked about the graphing method, we talked about factoring, and we talked about quadratic formula. So I'm going to, just because I don't have a calculator to put this in and to graph it, I know I could plug in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, write the zeros, whoop-de-woo. I'm going to just start with factoring method. So I'm going to skip graphing method. I'm going to come back to it. Why? Because I'm going to find my zeros and use those to graph. Okay, so we have the form function x squared plus 7x plus 6 equals 0, right? Remember factoring, we're trying to see which factors of 6 can get us to 7x. Hopefully you guessed it, 6 and 1. Yes, you're so smart. So our factors are x plus 6, x plus 1, right? Then remember we solve by setting it equal to 0. So x plus 6 equals 0, x plus 1 equals 0. Subtract 6 on both sides, x equals negative 6. Subtract 1 on both sides, x equals negative 1. And so by factoring, our answer is negative 6 and negative 1. Good job. So we know we can graph negative 1 and graph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative 6. So there we have part of our graph. And of course, you can check it in the calculator with this method. Today, you just learned quadratic formula. So identify A is 1, B is 7, C is 6, and we're going to plug it in. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4 times A times C, all over 2 times A. We end up with negative 7 plus or minus 49 minus 24, all over 2. Oh, sorry. So we do 49 minus 24. Can't think straight. Oh, that's so easy. Negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 25 over 2. We know that's going to be equivalent to 5, right? So when we split it up, we're in a negative 7 plus 5 over 2. Splitting that up. And then negative 7 minus 5 over 2. Negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Good job. Negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. Good job. And what do we notice? Hopefully you notice. Quadratic formula, we got the same answer. Factoring, we got the same answer. So you can use whichever factor works best for you. With graphing method, I'm going to complicate this a little bit. I know we could put it in our calculator. I know we could look at the table, but I want to make sure you remember how to find the vertex. Good job. Using the equation. So let's do it by hand. So by hand, we already got the zeros, right? Sorry. So if you remember, we use x equals negative b over 2a to find our x, right? So we're going to plug it in. We get x equals negative 7 over 2 times 1. What's negative 7 over 2? Negative 3.5. Right? So there's our x. See, I'm making